Have you ever looked up at the expansive, limitless sky on a full moon night and wondered why these full moons only appear once in a while? Or perhaps why don't they just shine super bright in their full glory like every single night? Or simply what the heck causes these full moons to appear even in the first place? Is your brain bombarding itself with so many whys and it's curious to know about the deep secrets of the full moon? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. So, hello everyone, welcome back to Sorta Explained. Now, if you're wondering why it's Sorta Explained and not Curious as it was like a week ago, it's because I finally hit 100 subscribers and was able to lock in a unique channel URL, and obviously the name Curious was taken by a whole bunch of other channels, and while I don't want to be one of those one of these things is not like the other, except that's exactly what it is now. But enough about that. Today I'm going to be teaching you enough about full moons and of course when the next one is to make sure that people think that you know what you're talking about without coming off like a total nerd at the same time. Really, it's a fine line. In about 5 minutes when this video is over, you'll be walking that line like a f***ing champ. And be sure to watch the video till the end, since I do have a couple of interesting little facts about full moons all cooked up and waiting for you, so be sure to check that out. Alright, so let's get this going. I'll be straight to the point. The next full moon is expected to occur on October 9th, 2022, and this is also known as the Hunter's Moon. The previous full moon before that was the Harvest Moon, and that took place recently on September 10th. But here's a list of the further full moons expected to occur in 2022. So October, just like we said, Hunter Moon, October 9th. And in November, we have something called the Beaver Moon, which will happen on November 8th. And in December, no surprise, we have something called the Cold Moon, which will happen on December 7th. Now, do keep in mind that the actual timing of the full moons and when they will appear for you does vary by time zone in different regions, so be a little patient, but you will be able to see it, I promise you, on those days. Now, you might have observed that each lunar month has a specific name. What's more interesting is the fact that each name has a deeper significant meaning. So for instance, the full moon of September, like I said, is known as a full harvest moon because corn harvests typically take place during that time period. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's move on into looking at what actually causes a full moon, because you would be surprised, but the phenomenon is quite straightforward. These full moons only occur when the sun and the moon are aligned 100%. So during the full moon phase, the moon circulates in orbit at an angle of 180 degrees and it's at the direct opposite end of the sun. And as a result of this alignment, the entire moon's face is illuminated by the sun's light, but you might be surprised that really it's only 99.9% of the moon which is illuminated, not 100%. And this happens because of a 5% elevation of the moon in relation to its orbital plane. If a full moon occurs above or below this ecliptic orbital plane, then the moon's illumination is reduced by an insignificant amount, but still somewhat noticeable. So to sum that up in short terms, the sun illuminates the moon, and as the moon orbits around the earth, the side facing the sun will always light up in the sky. Now, story time. Let me tell you some interesting ancient myths and stories about full moons that stem from traditional beliefs and cultures. According to ancient cultural beliefs, full moons were considered to control fertility among women, but why the heck would they do that? Surprisingly, it was observed that menstrual cycles followed a similar timeline to a full moon, so early civilizations actually believed that pregnancy was a gift from the moon. And that explains why female moon Chinese deities are famous in mythologies. And here's another one you're gonna like. So there's also another ancient, interesting story that the full moon has a mystical effect on the sexual urges of both men and women. According to ancient traditions, men and women both used to have high sexual energy and libido on the full moon night, or on the night of a full moon. Some people believe the 5th day post-moon is the perfect time to conceive a child. And another interesting fact about full moons to top this all off is that people are more often likely to exhibit lunatic, awkward behavior on the night of a full moon. Even a study confirms that seizures and fever attacks are at their peaks on nights of full moons. Now, I'm not quite done yet, because we also have half moons and quarter moons to take a look at, and you might be wondering why the heck is causing those. But before moving forward, be sure to hit the like button if you're enjoying this video. First off, understand that the moon appears in several phases. So for example, the crescent and the half moon are first visible, while the full moon appears later. And this happens because as the moon constantly rotates and orbits around the earth, we get to see the side illuminated by the sun. Let me explain to you with an example. So first we have the new moon phase, where we can't see any moon because the opposite side is hidden and not illuminated by the sun, which is ironic that it's called the new moon when you can't even see it. It's like it doesn't exist. However, as the moon moves eastward from the sun, some part of the moon starts to get lit by the sun. Therefore, we start to see a small crescent after a few days of a new moon phase. Similarly, as the lunar month progresses, the small crescent grows fatter until half of the moon's disk is illuminated. This phase is also known as the moon's first quarter. And the moon continues to wax until it reaches a gibbous point, known as a place where more than half of the moon's illuminated. And well, of course, after this, we finally get to see the full moon. So this is just a brief crash course on full moon phases and explains perfectly why the quarter and half moon take place. But there's one thing still left: the full moon's strong connection with the eclipse. In fact, lunar eclipses take place only on a full moon night. And this happens when the Earth is precisely between the moon and the sun during a lunar eclipse, and the Earth's shadow falls on the moon's surface. The result sometimes is a striking red surface observed on the lunar moon for a few hours. Oh, and what about the solar eclipse? Well, it happens during the new moon phase. However, they're only visible from a small area, so it's a whole lot rarer to spot them. And now, as I promised you, a few interesting facts about full moons that you just weren't aware of, or maybe you were, in which case kudos to you. That's actually really interesting that you know that. What if I told you that the moon was once a part of the Earth? Would you believe me? Well, guess what? It's a theory that the moon was created when a humongous rock smashed into the Earth's surface, and since then the moon has drifted from the Earth and revolved in the solar system. Plus, the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth approximately 3.8 centimeters each year, which means that it's eventually going to be 14,600 miles further away from us than it is today after 500 million years from now. Let that sink in for a while. Obviously, just a theory. We have no idea if it was really part of the Earth. I don't think it was, but it's still kind of a cool thing to think about and ponder. So to sum this up for you real quick, the next full moon, if you're checking it out, is expected to occur on October 8th, 2022. So set up your binoculars or your telescopes, whatever it is that you use to observe them, and spot the universe in its marvel and its full glory. That's all today, but on a random side note, did you know that rumors are circulating that cornflakes were invented to prevent masturbation? Well, you might be surprised, because, well, I was too. So to get to the bottom of it, I've broken down the facts and the rumors surrounding this ghastly breakfast cereal in my previous video. And that video is going to be appearing for you on screen right now, so go ahead and click that to find out the truth behind this beloved, famous breakfast cereal by the oh-so-innocent Dr. Kellogg's, who was not so innocent. You'll find out in the next video. Go ahead, check it out. I'll see you guys later.